everyone. This is Ayanda again, and I'm excited about this next person I want to introduce to everyone, and everyone to kind of get to know a little bit about who they are and their story and just adventure they're on. He is a brother in the Lord, brother from a different mother, and a brother of another brother.
That's right.
Mr. Ethan Seay. So, bro, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
It's been good, man. It's been crazy,
Yeah.
crazy, but I think God's just been good in so many different ways. So, off the top, because probably trying to figure out who is this dude. So, like, tell everyone, who are you? Where are you from? Where did you grow up? And if there's anything else you want people to know about you.
Sure. Yeah. My name is Ethan Seay. I live in Dallas, Texas currently. I grew up in Houston for all my life, so I was always around Mexican food and that kind of stuff. And then I am an intern at Worship Initiative in Dallas, and I also attend Dallas Baptist University. So, I'm still trying to figure out, what I'm going to do with my life, but I feel like I have a solid starting point. So,
Oh, that's really neat. And then you mentioned, the food aspect. Like,
oh man.
what's the favorite food, bro?
Oh, right now it's okay. There's three. My favorite right now is Pappasitos. Their chicken fajitas are just like the best. Chewy's is second, and then third it has to be like Lupe Tortilla.
Yeah.
Their beef fajitas are like solid. So like I have this whole list of like places I like, but those are the top three for sure. So
How's it been like growing up in Texas? I think for those who have no idea about Texas, Texas is its own little world.
Yeah.
But how's it been for you?
Man, it's been interesting. So growing up in Houston, it's super humid, it's super hot. And the crazy thing about Texas is that you can go all around Texas and the weather is very different.
Mm-hmm.
So when I moved to Dallas, it's very dry, it's very cold there. So, growing up in Houston, it was I enjoyed that, but I feel more comfortable in Dallas with just the weather and the people there. So, I love Texas. I don't know if I'll ever move out of Texas. I don't know, I might move to Nashville or Florida at some point, but Texas is home base for me. So,
No, that's really neat. So you are a musician of sorts. What was your musical upbringing? Like when and where did it all start?
yeah, so my dad toured for a couple of decades and he's released a lot of records. And so I was always around music. So I first started playing drums when I was probably 3 years old. And the great thing is none of that was like forced onto me. I was visually, bringing that in and, I wanted to pursue that even from a young age. So, I played drums for probably 5 or 6 years, and then I picked up a guitar at 12 years old, and I've been hooked ever since. And as you know, you've seen, all the rating and stuff. It's a whole new world. So yeah, but like I said, I grew up around a bunch of musicians, and I've kind of learned over time, how to, play the parts and write parts and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I know, like you said, like your Instagram or your Facebook stories, I'm just seeing you trading gear. Like everyone, if you're looking for gear, just follow Ethan. He'll pick up something that you may want as a guitar.
Come on, guys.
So you mentioned your dad's influence and just being around a lot of that. I think just a side question. So have you made your dad's band yet? Has he win or is he?
It's getting there. We are working on a record and may or not be playing on it. So I don't know. We'll see.
We'll try and put in a word for you.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you, man.
So like kind of moving forward, with just along that same line, like who are your current musical influences?
Yeah. So this has changed over time, but I've really solidified 3 people that have influenced me. So the first is a guitar player named Taylor Johnson, and he plays for Phil Wickham and Frank Ocean and a bunch of people. He's kind of like the session player everybody goes to.
Yep.
He's really taught me how to like execute parts really well live. So you'll see videos of him playing with Phil Wickham, like live on tour, and he's just ripping it. And all these parts they fit the song, but he knows how to execute them really well. And even if he messes up, like he knows how to jump back in and really dig into it. Second person is The Edge. I feel like everybody has been influenced by The Edge, but for me, it's not about the tone. It's about his attention to detail.
Yep.
So you'll see videos of him, and he's spending hours and hours like changing capacitors in his guitar pack, like trying to make it feel like a real guitar cable. And there's other stories like in the studio, he switches from like a unwound G to a wound G string to get more emphasis on it. And it's that kind of stuff that I've really gravitated towards. Because, in the long run, all that stuff builds up and really defines your tone and how you play. And then the third person is Daniel Carson. He is a guitar player for Chris Tomlin for decades. And he's really taught me how to like be simplistic in how I approach writing parts. You'll see him play and you're like, he's not playing complex stuff. He knows how to like fit the song really well and build parts like that. But also what I really love about Daniel is his humility. He's one of the like nicest people you ever talk to if you ever get to meet him. And on stage, like he really exemplifies that in a worship context that is vital, leading others to God. So those are kind of three people that I've really like looked at and studied over the years, and they're all they really kind of like work their way into how I play my tone. So
those are three really solid guitarists. Has there been any bands that you're like, man, those are my go-to on my playlist?
Man, that's hard because I listen to so much music. It's not funny. I think one would be Need to Breathe. They're kind of like a North Carolina rock band. They bring a lot of energy to their live shows, which I love. So I've watched so many like hours and hours of tour videos on their YouTube and stuff, and they're just really awesome people. But they also influence me musically, just having fun with what they do. Another band is Switchfoot. They're from California. They're super laid back, but they're also really fun. And they really kind of explore new ideas and new tones and new aspects of music that I've never really like listened to, which is super cool. So they really taught me a lot about just having fun with it and exploring new things. And then thirdly, I'm trying to think of another band I listen to a lot. I'm probably going to say Joey Landreth. So he's a slide player. He is just a phenomenal guitar player, but his band is also incredible. And what they taught me is just how to like sit back in the pocket and really like bond together. And nobody like sticks out like a sore thumb. So like everything that Joey does with the slide guitar really just fits in the band context. He's not really all about himself. So he's taught me as a guitar player really just to like listen to what's going on and just write parts around that. So
oh man, these are really, really, really amazing people that you kind of bring up, and kind of you mentioned writing parts. Kind of want to talk about just the song that you wrote parts for, and just what your process was. Share with us. So you wrote the guitar parts for My Story, which I don't want to give too much away about the song, but it's this culmination of a hymn and a rewrite in some ways. What was your process of writing those guitar parts?
Yeah, so I'll just walk you through the structure of the song. Let me pull up the note I had for that. So verse one, actually we have an intro first. So it's a big slide hook, and that's kind of a reoccurring theme throughout the song. So I wanted that to be kind of catchy, but also kind of laid back. So we have that big slide hook, and then we dive right into verse 1. So verse 1, there's kind of some movement just to keep the song afloat, because everything kind of dies down.
Yep.
So the drums kind of pull back, synths kind of pull back, and you don't want it to like drop out completely.
Yep.
So I wanted some movement in there just to keep it up just a little bit. Also didn't have a vocal for that song when I wrote these parts. So I didn't want anything to get in the way. So what I did was I recorded more than I needed to.
Yep.
And sent it to the engineer and let him cut out whatever gets in the way, just so he can have different parts, you know.
Yep.
So out of that verse, we go to a pre-chorus, and there's one hook that I wrote that's kind of recurring as well in the pre-chorus, and that kind of launches us into the chorus.
Yep.
And that's also another hook that doesn't really get in the way of the vocal because it follows the chord progression.
Yep.
So yeah, we dive right into chorus 1, big chunky chords, because we know drums, we really just went for it there, you know, big drums, big synths. So really just big chords down low. You don't really want anything too thin.
Yep.
So out of that chorus, we go back into the slide hook, what we did in the beginning. And then we hit verse 2. So verse 2 was different than verse 1. For verse 2, there's some light electric strumming just to keep, you know, some movement going. And also on top of that, I stacked more of a pedal steel sound with it, which was super fun. You know, that strumming and the pedal steel really fit together really well. And I think there was acoustic on the track. I don't remember, but you know, that electric kind of helped that rhythm stick out a little bit. So out of that verse 2, we go back into the pre-chorus with that reoccurring part, and then, you know, launch into chorus 2 with big chunky chords. Out of chorus 2, we go to a down bridge.
Yep.
That down bridge is all about space. So there's a bunch of synths. There's no drums. So really, everything that I was doing was up high and had a lot of verb on it. You don't want anything too overdriven or too in the way. It's kind of just adding to that atmosphere. And then we launched into bridge 2, which is this big raunchy kind of like rhythm / lead line thing going on with the open string, and that's kind of building up the bridge, and that's going to launch it into a down chorus. So down chorus, there's nothing there. I just space is really key to writing all these parts. You really just want to have some good space going on. And then out of that down chorus, we go into a giant chorus, which is some big chunky chords again. And then, you know, it does the tag thing, and we just end on a big one, which was so fun to record. So yeah, that's kind of like the flow for your nerds out there. I literally just use a Gretsch and a Gav 19T plugin for the amp. I tried a bunch of other stuff, but nothing really seemed to work until I tried out this plugin. So that's the song.
Man, it's one of my favorite, especially that slide lick at the beginning. I don't want to take away, because I just want people to kind of hear it for themselves. But you really brought a lot to the table, especially with that guitar part and the sound and vibe we were going for as kind of with that song and everything that was going on. And for all the guitar nerds, you know, you have a breakdown. So if you want to learn those parts, this is the man to talk to. With that song, let's just go a little further with that song. As you played it musically, are there any reflections from musically as you processed that song that you kind of walked away, whatever it is, that you're like, man, this works with me,
So,
whatever's on your heart.
You know, before I wrote all those parts, I listened to it a couple times and just kind of like sung ideas in my head. And what I noticed was how laid back the drums were. So, you know, one reflection, and really something I learned from recording this song, is tracking parts that are laid back. Because you don't want to be like too in front of the drums to like make it feel a little weird, but you also don't want to be too laid back to where everything feels kind of lagging.
Yep.
So I don't know who played drums on this song, but they really taught me how to like sit in the pocket really well and just kind of, it's all about feel, honestly. Yep. I used to click for probably like the slide part, and then just didn't use click for the rest of it, just because of how laid back it was, and it felt amazing. So yeah.
Man, so the drummer, Mark Altieri, he is even when we wrote, like we demoed the drum part and kind of conceptualized how everything else fits in, he just sat in the pocket. He just like, okay, we want this kind of, I don't want to give too much what the song's vibe is, but it's a Southern gospel kind of thing. And then when you came in, you just brought all of these different colors. But it's just it's astounding to hear for a lot of people who are in trying to figure out how to record, or the world of metronomes and clicks in your ear. Our go-to is work with that. But when you have a drummer or another rhythm instrument that just sits in the pocket, it negates really relying on a click or a metronome in your ear, because the musician that's playing the rhythm that you build on top of is doing it for you.
Yeah, totally.
So I applaud you and Mark on the drums for kind of working together and working really well on that. I want to shift from the project to you.
Yeah.
What projects are you working on? Personal, collaborative? I know you alluded to I don't know if I could call them a ministry, but a team of people, the Worship Initiative. I know you're part of that. If you want to share a little bit about the Worship Initiative and any other personal projects that you're working on.
Sure, yeah. So coming up, I am working on a live record with my friend Sidney Escamilla. He is a worship leader here in Houston. We're recording a whole live record for 3 days, I think. So that's going to be a super fun project. We have some really amazing musicians working on that. So, I don't know when this interview will come out, but maybe the record will be done by then. So go give that a listen. And then we are currently planning out a Robbie Seaman record, which will come out probably later in the fall. So that's something to look forward to. And then for Worship Initiative stuff, man, I can't get a lot of details, but let's just say we have 4 or 5 records planned already. One's already recorded and ready to release. Today we released Volume 23, which was super fun. So we have a bunch planned for future projects, but that's kind of all for now. But hey, if you guys have any projects you want guitars on, just reach out to me.
Yes, and that was the other thing I was going to say. Everyone out there, Ethan Seay is an amazing guitarist, amazing arranger and writer of guitar parts. So if you have whatever it is, reach out to him, and it will be in my link bio. If you're on Instagram, I'll tag him on all social media platforms and YouTube, so you actually can contact him directly. He's an amazing guy to work with, brother in the faith, loves his Mexican food. I have one last question, and I think for those who are watching who are kind of young and upcoming guitarists or musicians, just musicians as a whole, and I know you're on the journey yourself, but you rub shoulders with some really amazing musicians. What are a couple of things you would want to share, words of wisdom to upcoming musicians or just musicians? Yeah, so what I'm about to say is stuff that I've learned personally over playing the past, 6 or 7 years. It's to ask questions and make mistakes. So find somebody that's better than you and just annoy them as much as you can. Ask everything. Ask them about pedals, guitars, how to actually lead worship and not just be a guitar player on a Sunday morning. That really has been an amazing thing for me, just to have a community of people that are way more talented than me. They've been doing this for way longer than me, and just to learn amazing things from them that they've kind of accumulated over decades of playing. And then the other thing is just make mistakes. For me, when I'm practicing,
I'm really just noodling around. And there's a lot of people that tell you don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But all the chord shapes and stuff that I've learned, it's really just from like experimenting and making mistakes over the years. There was a couple parts that I wrote for one of my dad's songs that we recorded probably a couple months ago, and that was just, I really just was just like noodling around, and I heard something. I was like, oh, that's a cool part. So I was looking for it, and I found it again, and we recorded it. So really just have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like Ayanda said, you can reach out to me, ask me any questions that you have.
Yep.
Gear related, you know, worship related. I'm really open to anything. So any advice that you want, just let me know. So,
man, those are some really sweet gems of, you know, you don't hear that a lot among people. You know, ask questions and make mistakes.
Yeah.
I think everyone feels they're so pressured to everything has to be so squeaky clean, perfect. Even walking into a practice or playing around people who are better than you, and it's like, no, it's okay. You can ask the questions. A lot of people want to be asked questions and to help. So, man, I appreciate that. And for those who are watching, ask the questions. Ask Ethan those questions. If you want to grow in, you know, in the world of guitar, whatever, whether acoustic, electric, go ahead, reach out to him and ask the questions and see how he can help. And if you have a project and you're looking for a guitarist, he's the man. He's one of the guys I would highly recommend you reach out to and talk to. Ethan, thanks so much for your time, bro. And hopefully people have gotten to know a little bit more about who you are and kind of who Ethan is.
Yeah, thank you, man. Hey, if you're in the Dallas area, let's grab coffee or something. Just reach out to me. Ayanda, if you're back in town, let's get some barbecue. So.
Oh, that's happening. That's happening, bro.
We're gonna make it happen.
Thanks so much, man.
Yeah, thank you, man.